In the shadowed corners of a life built on careful silences, Mara Voss has mastered the art of invisible threads, connections that bind without breaking the surface. A secret affair with Jonas Hale pulls her toward the edge of revelation, where every glance risks unraveling the composure she clings to like armor. But tonight, under the weight of unspoken truths, she steps into the light of confession, her story unfolding frame by frame as the camera lingers on Mara Voss in a dimly lit confessional booth. The camera lingers on Mara Voss in a dimly lit confessional booth, its handheld lens capturing the subtle flicker of muted light across her composed features. She's seated on a worn leather chair, hands folded neatly in her lap, her dark hair pulled back in a practical twist that screams efficiency. Outside the frame, the interviewer, Elena's voice, soft but insistent, breaks the silence. Tell us about your life, Mara. How do you keep it all so steady? Mara's eyes meet the lens, steady as glass. Numbness settles in her chest like fog, a familiar chill that numbs the edges of everything. She speaks in measured tones, first-person confession spilling out like rehearsed lines. I curate it, every interaction, every glance. Stability isn't accidental, it's designed. Relationships stay surface level. Polite dinners, shared laughs that don't dig too deep. Emotions, they're like guests you invite, but never let linger. I keep them at arm's length to avoid the mess. The shot tightens as she pauses, her fingers tracing an invisible line on her knee. The numbness holds, but beneath it, something stirs. A faint itch, suppressed, like a whisper begging to be voiced. The room's only mirror hangs on the wall behind her, its surface reflecting her profile with a hairline crack snaking from the edge, unnoticed at first, but catching the light now, fracturing her image into quiet shards. Elena probes gently. And that works for you? No cracks in the facade? Mara's gaze drifts to the mirror. For a split second, the crack mirroring the tremor in her voice, she quickly reins in. It has to. Control saves you from complications. But lately, she stops, the words catching, a suppressed hunger flickering in her eyes, the desire to be truly heard pulling at the numbness like a tide. She leans forward slightly, voice dropping. Lately, I wonder if holding it all in just makes the weight heavier, if letting even a sliver out would shatter everything I've built. The camera pulls back slowly, the cracked mirror now fully in frame, her reflection splintered, but still holding form. The air hangs with the unspoken. Can she trust that buried pull without the whole careful world crumbling? The promise of her double life lingers, just beyond the lens, a shadow waiting to emerge. As the confessional fades, the scene shifts to another shadowed space, where the tension of secrecy deepens. The camera lingers in the dim glow of a nondescript hotel room, its handheld shake capturing the faint flicker of a table lamp. Jonas Hale sits on the edge of the bed, his tie loosened, fingers drumming against his knee. The interviewer, Elena Park's voice, off-screen and measured, probes gently. Jonas, how does it feel, this secrecy? He exhales, rubbing his jaw, eyes fixed on the carpet's worn pattern. Like I'm always half-breathing. We started this because it was safe. Me, with my public life. Mara with hers. But now, it's suffocating. Every stolen glance at a party, every coded text, it's eroding us. I want to hold her hand in the light, not just in shadows. The lies pile up, and I'm tired of pretending they're weightless. Cut to Mara Voss in a quieter space. Her apartment's living room. Late afternoon light slanting through half-drawn blinds. She's perched on a stool, a cracked mirror frame on the wall behind her, reflecting her composed face in fractured shards, her image splintered, like the secrets she guards. Elena's voice, again, concise. "And you, Mara? Why the silence?" Mara's lips pressed thin, her voice steady, but laced with that familiar, compartmentalized calm. "Because it protects us, all of us. Jonas has his circle, expectant eyes, reputations to polish. I have mine. If we shatter that, what happens? Gossip shreds everything. I've seen it. Friends turning away, judgments carving deeper than any truth. Staying quiet isn't weakness. It's the only way to keep this real without ruining lives." The footage crosscuts, Jonas leaning forward, his tension coiling like a spring. But is it real if it's hidden? "I love her, Elena, not the version we stage manage." His words hang, raw, pulling at the air between them. Back to Mara, her gaze flickers to the mirror. Anxiety coils in her chest, a familiar knot tightening. She glances at the small mirror propped on the table, part of the set, meant for quick makeup checks, but it's cracked along one edge. A jagged line splitting her reflection like a fault in glass. She stares at it, her fractured image staring back, silent accusation. I don't know," she murmurs, voice barely above a whisper. First-person confession spills out, raw and halting. It's like breathing underwater. You hold it in, and it works for a while, protects everyone. Jonas, he gets it, or at least he did. But lately, her breath hitches, the anxiety spiking, making her words fragment. The booth feels smaller, walls pressing in with the weight of unspoken nights, stolen moments in shadowed stairwells. Elena leans forward, her tone gentle but insistent, unraveling the secrecy thread by thread. "Lately, what? The silence isn't just protecting him anymore, is it? It's building walls around you. How long before it cracks everything?" Mara's gaze flicks back to the mirror. The crack seems deeper now, spiderwebbing toward her eyes. She feels it, the pressure of Jonas's shadow, his unspoken expectation hanging in the air between them. Even here, he wants more, deserves answers she can't voice without shattering the facade. Her heart races, anxiety flooding her veins like ice water. But beneath it stirs something else, a reluctant readiness, a whisper urging her to name it. "It's suffocating," she admits finally, voice gaining a fragile edge. Not anger, no blame to shift, just the truth, clawing free. Keeping him hidden, keeping me hidden. It doesn't shield us. It just weighs, like I'm carrying this lie alone. And one day it'll pull me under. The words hang, her reflection in the cracked mirror, blurring as tears well, but don't fall. How long can she stay silent without destroying herself? The question echoes unspoken, the camera pulling back slowly, leaving her poised on the brink. Deeper into the emotional layers, the therapy session uncovers the roots of Mara's guilt. The camera lingers on the spare therapy room. Muted grays, a single window filtering afternoon light like a hesitant confession. Mara sits rigid on the edge of the couch, fingers twisting the hem of her blouse, her breath shallow. Dr. Raoul, across from her in a worn armchair, leans forward slightly, his voice a steady anchor. "Tell me about the guilt, Mara. It's been building, hasn't it?" She nods, eyes fixed on the floor. Anxiety coils in her chest, a familiar vice. It's like I'm lying to everyone, to Jonas, to my friends, even to myself. Every stolen glance at a party, every late-night text deleted before it can breathe. I tell myself it's protection, but it feels like poison. Her voice cracks, not with hysteria, but a quiet unraveling. The words spill out, raw and unpracticed, as if she's performing for an invisible audience. The documentary crew just beyond the door. Dr. Raoul nods, his pen paused. And what fuels that need to hide? A beat. Mara's gaze drifts to her purse on the side table. She reaches in, pulls out a crumpled envelope, yellowed at the edges, unsealed, but never sent. The unsent letter. Her thumb traces the faded ink of her own handwriting, a relic from years ago. This, she says softly, holding it up like evidence. My ex, years back. I trusted him with everything. My fears, my dreams. He twisted it all, leaked pieces to mutual friends when we ended. Foreclosure, he called it, but it shattered me. Everyone looked at me differently, like I was the fragile one, the fool. Flashback flickers in her mind. A crowded bar, whispers turning to stares, the sting of betrayal mirroring her own hidden scars. The envelope trembles in her hand. So now, with Jonas, I can't risk that again. If I let the truth out, what if it's the same? What if he sees me, really sees, and it's not enough? Her pulse races, anxiety peaking. But there's a shift, a faint loosening, like the letter's weight, lightening as she speaks. She's acting it out, this internal war. Her body language, a map of suppressed maps. Shoulders hunched, then easing just a fraction. Dr. Raoul's eyes soften, probing without pressure. And Jonas, does he sense this wall you're building? She exhales, setting the letter down, its presence a silent witness. He wants more, pushes for it, in those quiet moments we steal. I see the hurt in his eyes, the fear I'll slip away if he asks too much. But opening up, it means trusting new feelings when the past screams silence. The room feels smaller, the moral stakes sharpening. One wrong word, and the secrecy unravels everything. Yet, in voicing it, a sliver of readiness stirs. Vulnerability not as a fall, but a tentative step. Dr. Raoul tilts his head. What might happen if you didn't carry it alone? Mara meets his gaze for the first time. The question hanging, unanswered, in the air between them. In the quiet intimacy of their shared space, Jonas voices his yearning, pushing Mara toward the edge of change. The camera lingers on the dimly lit corner of Mara's apartment, where shadows pool like unspoken words. Jonas sits across from her on the worn leather couch, his fingers tracing the edge of a coffee mug, steam curling up like a fragile bridge between them. The documentary crew is discreet tonight, handheld lens hovering just out of frame, capturing the raw edges of their secrecy. I can't keep doing this, Mara, Jonas says, his voice low but steady, slicing through the quiet hum of the city outside. Hiding in stairwells, deleted texts, excuses that twist us both into knots. I want more. I want us to be real, out there, not just this shadow version. Mara's breath catches, her hand instinctively smoothing her blouse, a reflex of control. The mask she's worn so long, it feels like skin. Anxiety coils in her chest, tightening like a vice. She glances at the mirror on the wall, its frame etched with fine cracks from some long-forgotten bump in the night. It reflects her face, back at her, fragmented, one eye sharp with fear, the other softened by something she can't name. The sight unnerves her, a visual echo of the splits she's nurtured inside. You know why, she whispers, first-person confession slipping out as if to the lens alone. Our worlds, they're glass houses. One crack, and it all shatters. My friends, your career. Reputations don't bend, Jonas. They break. Her words hang heavy, the guilt she's buried rising like bile. The thought of exposure floods her. Whispers at parties, stares that judge. The loss of the life she's curated so meticulously. He leans forward, eyes searching hers, not accusing, but pleading. But this distance, it's killing us already. Every time we meet like thieves, I feel you slipping further away. Honesty isn't destruction. It's the only way we don't lose each other for good. The anxiety peaks, her pulse thudding in her ears, visions of unraveling flashing. Elena's probing questions in the next interview, Dr. Montes dissecting her fears on camera. Yet, amid the storm, a spark flickers, small, tentative. What if control is the real cage? She reaches for his hand, her fingers trembling but not pulling back. Maybe you're right. Not all at once, but something. The mirror catches the moment, its cracks glinting under the lamp's glow, as if the fractures might mend or widen. How much truth can their fragile bond hold before it mirrors her own divided self? The camera pulls back slowly, leaving the question unanswered in the charged silence. The voices of those closest to her reveal the fractures in her public facade, amplifying the isolation. The camera lingers on Elena Park's steady gaze, her voice a gentle probe in the dim glow of the interview room. Muted grays cloak the walls, a confessional space far from the glittering haze of rooftop parties. Seated across from her are Mara's friends, Lila, with her sharp bob and fidgeting hands, and Theo, broad-shouldered and hesitant, his eyes darting like he's measuring the weight of every word. "You're close to Mara," Elena says, concise, her tone slicing through the air. "What do you see in her at those events? The ones where everyone's performing?" Lila leans forward, her wariness etched in the tight line of her mouth. "She's flawless, always, laughing at the right moments, that poised smile like armor. But lately," she pauses, glancing at Theo, who nods slowly. "It's like she's not all there, distant, even when she's in the thick of it. We joke, we toast, but her eyes, they wander, like she's holding back a storm." Theo shifts, his voice low, guarded. "Yeah, last gala, she was radiant under the lights, charming the room. But when we stepped away for a smoke, she just stared off, into the shadows, down that stairwell, the one that leads to the back exit. Dimly lit, always feels like a secret passage. She lingered there, phone in hand, typing something she never sent. I asked if she was okay, and she brushed it off with that perfect deflection. Just the night air. But it wasn't. It felt empty, like she's curating every breath to keep us at arm's length." Elena's nod is subtle, drawing them out. The handheld camera catches the flicker of unease on their faces. Not accusation, but a quiet ache for the Mara they once knew without walls. Across town, in her shadowed apartment, Mara watches the feed on a cracked laptop screen. The glow casting fractures across her face, like the mirror she avoids. Her chest tightens, wariness coiling in her gut as their words land. Distant, empty. The stairwell flashes in her mind. That hidden descent where she'd met Jonas once, hearts racing in the half-light. The world above oblivious. Now, hearing it echo from those she trusts, the flawless mask she'd worn so long feels like a fracture line spreading. Not judgment, but a mirror. Her control, meant to protect, bleeding into the bonds she cherishes, eroding the trust she craves. Lila's voice pulls back. "We want her close, you know, but it's like she's always one step behind a door we can't open." Theo adds, softer, "Isolation like that, it poisons everything, even the good parts." Mara's breath catches. The wariness ebbs, giving way to a reluctant readiness. The impact sinking in, sharp and undeniable. How deep does this divide run? In the circle she calls home, does the shine of her facade dim the very light that holds them together. The question hangs, unanswered, as the screen fades to black. The isolation sharpens into crisis as a close encounter threatens to expose the hidden truth. The stairwell light flickered like a hesitant heartbeat, casting long shadows on the cracked concrete walls. Mara descended slowly, her heels echoing in the dim hush of the high-rise lobby, the kind of place where secrets clung to the air like cigarette smoke. She was fleeing the party upstairs. Too many eyes, too many questions, but now, midway down, she froze. Footsteps ascended, sharp and deliberate. "Mara, that you?" The voice belonged to Theo, her closest colleague from the gallery, his face materializing from the gloom below. He was smiling, that easy, probing grin that always made her feel seen a little too clearly. In his hand, a phone screen glowed, illuminating a photo he'd snapped at the event. Her and Jonas, caught mid-laugh in a corner booth, closer than colleagues should be. Her pulse slammed against her ribs. Panic bloomed hot in her chest, a vice tightening around her throat. Not now, not like this. Theo stepped up, oblivious, holding out the phone. "Look at you two, thick as thieves tonight." Jonas finally loosening up? Or is there something I'm missing? His tone was light, teasing, but his eyes lingered, curious, piecing together fragments she'd buried deep. The stairwell seemed to narrow, walls pressing in, the faint hum of the elevator distant as a memory. Mara's mind raced. Deny, deflect, disappear. Her fingers itched to snatch the phone, to delete the evidence before it spread like gossip through their shared circles. But she couldn't, not without drawing more eyes. Instead, she forced a laugh, brittle as the cracking mirror she'd glimpsed in the bathroom earlier. "Just work talk, Theo. You know how it is. Deadlines make everyone chummy." Her voice held, but inside, the fear cracked open, spilling out the truth she'd ignored. Secrecy wasn't armor anymore. It was a cage, rattling with every near miss. He tilted his head, not quite buying it, but the stairwell door above creaked open, spilling party noise and light. Theo shrugged, pocketing the phone. "Sure. Catch you Monday?" He continued up, leaving her alone in the dim glow. Mara gripped the railing, breath ragged. Jonas's face flashed in her mind, his quiet pleas for more, the weight of their hidden nights. This wasn't protection, it was a countdown. She straightened, the panic shifting, sharpening into something urgent. A choice. Call him now, set new rules, or let the cracks widen until everything shattered. The question hung in the stale air, unanswered, as she pushed toward the exit, the stairwell shadows trailing her like unspoken accusations. The turning point arrives under the glare of live exposure, where Mara begins to release the truth. The studio lights hummed like a swarm of distant bees, casting a sterile glow over the set. Mara sat rigid in the high-backed chair, her fingers twisting the hem of her blouse, just out of frame. The live segment indicator blinked red on the camera lens, a relentless eye devouring every micro-twitch of her face. Elena Park leaned forward from her interviewer's perch, her voice a gentle scalpel. "Mara, you've spoken of masks and mirrors. What happens when the reflection starts to crack?" Mara's breath caught, a sharp inhale that echoed in her chest. Panic surged first, hot, viscous, flooding her veins like ink in water. Her mind hissed, "Say too much," and the secret unravels, dragging Jonas into the light he never asked for. Say nothing, and the weight crushes her alone. The audience waited, invisible but palpable, their collective breath held in the ether of the broadcast. She glanced sideways, catching her reflection in the cracked mirror, propped as a set piece, a deliberate choice by the director, its fissures, spider webbing, like the fault lines in her soul. There she was, fragmented, eyes wide with the terror of exposure. "I've been living halved," Mara began, her voice a thread pulled taut. The words clawed their way out, raw and unpolished. No script to shield her. "This secret, it's not just a choice. It's a cage I built myself, brick by brick, to keep everyone safe. But the cost, God, the cost." Her hands unclenched, palms upturned in surrender. Panic twisted into something sharper, a confession that bordered on accusation. Of herself. "I've lied to protect it. To myself, most of all. The guilt eats at me every night, whispering that I'm not whole, that love like this demands I stay silent. But silence isn't safety. It's suffocation." Elena's eyes narrowed, probing, without mercy. "And now, on camera, with the world watching, what are you willing to release?" Mara met the lens, her reflection splintering further in the mirror's edge. The panic ebbed, giving way to a tentative rush, like air after a held breath. Liberation flickered, fragile but real. "I'm saying it hurts. This hidden part of me, it's real, it's mine, and hiding it has fractured everything. I accept that. The fear, the lies, they're on me. Not anymore." She paused, the words hanging, unanswered. Could she bear this much without bearing all? The feed cut to a wide shot. The audience's murmurs a ghost in the control room. Jonas, watching from somewhere shadowed, would hear the echo. Their bond no longer buried, but still veiled, teetering on the brink of breath. In the aftermath, the stairwell becomes the space for negotiation and fragile hope. The handheld camera trembles slightly in the dim stairwell, its lens catching the faint glow from a high window above. Mara and Jonas stand on the worn steps, the air thick with the scent of rain-soaked concrete. She's just come from the live segment, her partial confession still echoing in her chest like a half-spoken vow. The words, "I'm not who you think," hang between them. Not a full unveiling, but enough to crack the silence they've armored themselves in. Jonas's face flickers in the low light, relief etching lines around his eyes, but fear twists his mouth into a grimace. "You did it," he says, voice low and ragged, stepping closer. His hand hovers near her arm, not quite touching. "But what now, Mara? That wasn't everything. We're exposed, guilty in pieces." His words spill out, charged with the agitation that's been building. The thrill of her voice, breaking free on camera, undercut by the dread of what shadows it might cast. Their community, those watchful eyes at parties and posts, could piece it together. He paces a step down, then up, the stairwell's echo amplifying his unease. Mara feels the pull, her heart racing in tandem, but she doesn't retreat. "I know," she whispers, her voice steady despite the knot in her throat. She reaches into her coat pocket, fingers brushing the folded edge of the unsent letter she's carried for months. Words of love and fear she'd never mailed, now a talisman of what she's held back. She doesn't pull it out, but the weight grounds her. "It's not all at once, Jonas, but it's real. I'm taking this, us, out of hiding, step by step. No more pretending we're nothing." He stops, turns, searches her face. The camera lingers on his clenched jaw, the way his breath hitches. And if that's not enough, if dosing the truth just makes us liars in slow motion, his eyes plead, the fear raw. But there's a softening, a cautious spark igniting as she holds his gaze without flinching. She steps up to him, their foreheads nearly touching. "Then we build from here. Rules. No secrets about us, even the small ones. We talk, really talk, before the world decides for us. Her hand finds his, tentative, warm. The agitation ebbs, replaced by a fragile hope that blooms in the quiet between breaths. They linger there, the stairwell a threshold, the letter in her pocket a silent promise of more truths to come. Can this measured honesty forge trust, or will it fracture under its own weight? The camera pulls back slowly, leaving the question unanswered in the lengthening shadows. Finally, in the therapy room, Mara solidifies her path toward authenticity and invites reflection. The camera lingers on the therapy room door as it creaks open. Mara Voss stepping in with the weight of last night's half-confession still clinging to her like fog. Her eyes dart to the corner mirror, its frame etched with fine cracks, spider webbing from some long-ago impact. She pauses, tracing a finger along one fissure, the reflection splintering her face into jagged pieces. "It's me," she whispers, to the lens and voiceover, voice tight with the old anxiety. Always breaking a little more. Dr. Raul Montes sits across from her, notebook balanced on his knee, his expression a steady anchor in the dim light. "You've taken a step, Mara." The partial reveal on camera, that was courage. But you're here because the fear hasn't lifted. She sinks into the chair, hands twisting in her lap. The words bubble up, raw and unfiltered. "Jonas, I told him I'd try. But what if this honesty shatters us? Our secret held us together, fragile as it was. Now, speaking it out loud, feels like handing him a grenade. And if I stay silent to protect him, I'm betraying myself again, swallowing the guilt until it chokes me." Her breath hitches, chest rising in shallow waves, the anxiety coiling tighter, a vice around her ribs. The mirror catches it all, her fractured gaze pleading back at her. Raul leans forward, voice measured. "And what does that silence cost you both? You've blurred boundaries to spare him pain. But at what price to your truth?" Mara's eyes well, but she doesn't look away. The cracks in the mirror seem to deepen, mirroring the fault lines in her resolve. "I can't deny it anymore. The guilt is mine. I've hidden us to keep everyone safe, but it's poisoned everything. Jonas deserves more than shadows. He needs to know I'm in this with him, not despite him." Her voice steadies, the tremor ebbing into something firmer, a quiet fire igniting. "Honesty isn't a weapon. It's the only way forward. I'll tell him the rest, whatever it takes. We build from here, together. Or not at all." She turns slightly to the camera, as if addressing the invisible audience beyond the lens. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the crack that lets the light in. The words hang, resolute, but her reflection in the mirror wavers, whole yet scarred. Is she ready to step fully into that light? Judgment be damned. The session fades on her steady exhale, the stakes now etched in every breath.